Good morning, guys. So, I wanted to make a video on my theory on the law of attraction because I've always kind of had my reservations about that whole ideology or whatever you want to call it. Mainly because I have a hard time buying into the concept that it's a strict principle, because I know myself personally and other people who are putting in the work, putting in the time, putting in the effort, and still not seeing proper results or seeing polar opposite results of what they're actively doing in their life, which to me makes the whole law of attraction kind of fall apart in its wake. So, if you know anything about the old channel that I had up here and my struggles with my abusive family and how I had to cut almost all my family members off except for my dad, and that's like cousins and aunts and uncles and my parents, my mom, my perverted stepdad, like all my uncle, my perverted uncle-in-law, my married uncle in marriage, who's married to my mom's twin sister, my aunt. Um, you understand that I have a sense of family, but I'm not in contact with any of them because of the way they have historically treated me in my life and how I've always been the most non-abusive person in my family, and how it wasn't until my mid 20s and my early 30s that my ASPD started to develop as part of my multiple personality disorder, towards my family members or people in society who blatantly try to use or disrespect me in a very obvious manner. It's not something I do towards petty stuff. Just like obvious stuff that's going to truly damage me or physically hurt me or something like that. My altar will switch and the psychopathic side of me will come out to protect myself. That's how multiple personality tends to work. So all of that aside, I can say I don't agree with the law of attraction because for the last 10, the last 9 years, I've been putting in the work and effort to distance myself from my abusive family members. From the ages of 21 until I was 34, I was on a celibacy journey. I put a video about that up on the channel, about being celibate for 11 years, why I did it, how it felt, like the benefits of it, being clear-headed, and all the certain men that were coming after me during that journey, and what I learned about like men in society and what I learned about myself, and just all the life lessons that I learned from being on that journey in general. But I'm on another celibacy journey. It's been about 4 months now, and I'm 34 now, and there's no age limit on it, like time limit on it. I have no desire to stop doing it. So it could go into my 40s this time around, like it did from 20 to 30. It could go into my 50s, my 60s. I have no desire to be with a man sexually. I'm not gay or bi, so I don't want to be with a woman either. Um, that's just how it is. But when it comes to the law of attraction, the reason I don't agree with it is because it seems like no matter how much work you put into a certain thing, you still wind up attracting people who are polar opposite of what your goal actually is. And I don't believe that there's some part of me that's not in alignment with my goal that is attracting these people, because the law of attraction states that if you're mentally and physically, emotionally, and spiritually in alignment with your goal to do better for yourself and to attract what you do want and to dispel what you don't want, then your life should be in balance with that general vibe of what you're trying to attract and not attract. But it seems like when you're either attractive or beautiful or pretty, or that's just the physical side of things. Well, let's just start with that. On the physical side of things, if you have any level of attractiveness, if you're even slightly more attractive than average, or pretty or beautiful, and less definitely when you're high in that, Um, you attract everything and everyone. It doesn't matter what your law of attraction supposedly is and what you want for yourself and what your goals are and what you allow in your life and what you don't allow in your life, you still are going to attract everything and everyone. That is a basic law of attraction. And so it kind of makes me think that whole theory of the law of attraction is not a real thing you can rely on, which is why I don't really buy into it at all. Because I'm like, that is a law of nature more so than a law of attraction. It's a law of nature that if you're very beautiful or very attractive or very confident, very powerful, very affluential, or have a lot of money, or all these things that make you a people magnet, you will always be a people magnet. No matter what type of magnet you want to be, if you're in a position of power in some way, it will attract both good and bad people. And it seems, statistically even, and it's been proven through studies and science and basic psychology, that if you're like physically attractive in some way, especially the higher on the scale you get, the more negative attention you get and the less positive attention you get. So that is a fact. That's a hard fact. So how does the law of attraction even hold up to itself? And I say this because on my celibacy journey and what is happening right now, which is why I'm making this video, which I will talk about in just 1 second, is I got some of the bummiest ass men coming after me. And I can tell you, in the hundreds of men that approach me between the ages of 23 and now at 34, if you extend it to what happens online between all of my social medias, it's thousands of men. None of them, not a single guy has ever asked me on a date. Not one. But every single guy has asked me for sex. Every single one of them has approached me for sex. And the ones that didn't approach me for sex were approaching me for my number. So you could pretty much, based off of the way things tend to go, if I did give them my number, it turned into, oh, I want to have sex. And if I didn't give them my number, I knew that if I had, most likely it would have turned into, I want to have sex. Because of the sheer volume of people that were men that were pressing me to have sex with them straight out of the gate. And I'm like, I don't have sex in general with men I don't know. I've only done that once in my life, had a one-night stand with a guy. And that was like right after I broke my celibacy streak, and that was when I was 33 years old. So last year, I actually did that. But not as a general rule, I don't do that. That's the only time in my life I've ever even done that. So, I'm like, what I'm dealing with right at the moment, I have this old ass neighbor. He's not old, like old as dirt. I think he's in his like early 60s, mid 60s or something like that. But he's the type of man that is like every other man that's ever approached me who blows off you. He's a little worse than the average man. He's like one of those men who will catcall you, and then if you are like the way I used to be, a little too nice, a little too naive, a little too patient, and so you end up getting wrapped up into this whole conversation with them where you tell them no, you don't want to give them your number, and no, you don't have a boyfriend, but no, you don't want to give them your number, and no, you're not interested, and no, you don't want to just be their friend, and no, thank you, and thanks for the interest, but no thank you, and it goes on for like 5 minutes when you said no at the start of the conversation, so why are we still talking? And that's how you feel the whole way through, but you gotta say no at least 3 times before they get the hint and leave you alone. He's like one of those guys. So, unfortunately, he's my neighbor. So, you can't quite get away from him because we keep running into each other. So I think the very first time I met this dude, I was doing my exercise around the neighborhood because it's a very big, there's like 2 apartment complexes owned by the same people who own this one. So like I can use the gym at the other apartment complexes here, or I can use the gym at my apartment complex because like the management here at my apartment complex is the same people who run the other apartment complex. So they're both basically like one big apartment complex, but they have different, oh my breath, different names for each one. So it's a really large apartment area. At least 20 apartment buildings. Just spread all around the whole neighborhood for each apartment complex combined. So I just walk around the whole neighborhood, and it's maybe a mile